house to get help. That was in the math classes. I talked to some graduates of Estancia, not my daughter. My daughter only had Mrs. Silva, who is amazing. And they said, yes, when I went to college, I had to take remedial classes because Estancia did not prepare me in the area of math to succeed in college. Math is one of the most important things that we can give our children. It's a lifelong predictor of success. And yet, I have kids coming over because their teacher at Estancia High School refused to teach them. So I said, you know what, I can sit here and I can complain and I can go online and I can bash, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to make a change. So I emailed Miss Silva, because she's awesome and we love her, and I said, hey, what can I do to help? What can parents do to help? What resources do you need? What would you like me to go to the school board and ask for on your behalf? She said, I would be happy to meet with you. She met with the other math department teachers. She then sat down with me and it was wonderful, and the things that they asked for were volunteers. We'd like parents to come in during advisory, to pull out time math games to build those foundational math skills. We would like to see a tutoring program. I would love to see a tutoring program in Estancia. One that can happen after school, but can also happen at a time when student athletes can take part in it. Athletes have practices that go pretty late. We need one that goes late enough that they can be a part of it. That would be awesome. That requires volunteers. I said, okay, not a problem. I go to the office to volunteer, and I find out that I have to pay $40. I have to drive over 40 miles in order to bring my application back, go get my fingerprints, bring everything. That's fine for me. That's not fine for everybody. Gas is over $4 a gallon right now. Not everybody can afford to pay $40 to give their time to the school and to the kids, and to drive back and forth to get their fingerprints done. And this was just accepted practice. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at. To me, that's something that's discriminatory and is almost like you're trying to make a barrier so that parents can't be involved. So the community members are not volunteering. Because I'm going to give my time, you're going to tell me I have to pay and drive and drive and drive and pay. Seems like that's not the most welcoming thing to people who might be willing to give their time and to help build these kids up. So I would like to see that addressed. Make it so that it's actually easy to come in and volunteer. Yes, we need background checks. Yes, you have to keep our kids safe, but we need to do it in a way that still welcomes volunteers. Welcome your community into your school. This is our community's school. Why is it so hard to come help? So that's something that I feel definitely needs to be looked at, definitely needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Shorty, I can't read your signature, so I'm gonna have to just call you Shorty, because that's what I
That's
can
good
read.
enough with me.
Okay.
It's only better known by anyway. My name is Phil Casados. Most of you know me, but for those who don't, I've been doing security here for 3 years now. For 2 years, I'm very disappointed right now with either the administrative handling of this subject or the fact that it was just got shucked off to public comment. I requested 2 weeks ago that I be placed on the agenda to discuss this subject, and that's considered, that's the having a firearm, an armed officer on this campus at all times. My background goes deep for 40 years. From 10 years with the United States Marine Corps, collateral duty, U.S. Secret Service, U.S. Marshal Service, with the FBI, with ATF. I am current standings. I've owned and operated my own companies. I've trained law enforcement officers, a certified law enforcement instructor through Santa Fe's Department of Public Safety, New Mexico Law Enforcement Academies. Not just their administrative classes, all their hands-on classes, and all their weapons classes. And as of yet, we still have not moved forward to be proactive with an armed position on this campus. Everybody in Uvalde thought the same thing. Oh, it won't happen here. It won't happen here. And they even have a police officer, a campus police department. And we see what happened there. We see what happened there. They said the same thing. Small town, not going to happen. They're bigger than us. Chances might exist more. I say that's not right. We have extremely low pay here. We have a high amount of domestic violence, drug use, alcohol use, mental illness. It's only going to be a matter of time before this happens on our campus. We have had 2 situations up here on this campus so far since I've been here that involved weapons. One was relatively innocent. The other one, though, we had 3 rounds fired off into our upper elementary school. One of those rounds pierced a window into a classroom. Fortunately for us, 3 o'clock in the morning. But I have seen nothing of the board, the administration, or anything else to move forward and be proactive in protecting this school. Again, I don't know how this isn't what I was told that I would get a call last week. Never happened.
Mr. Casados, I'm sorry, I didn't know you requested to be on the agenda.
I spoke to
Well, I'm sorry.
I spoke to Annette, and I was told that I would get a call back from the secretary. I spoke to the secretary before that, and I was told, I'll let you know what they're gonna do.
I'm not avoiding you, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't know that you wanted to be on the agenda. I apologize. I've been out, and I apologize I didn't get the message correctly, so I apologize.
But I did not speak to you, Dr.
Well,
Sims.
but I would've called you
But
back if
I didn't
understood.
speak to
I'm
you.
sorry.
This was 2 administrative personnel in this office that I was told would handle it, and yet it did not get handled. This is not a subject that we can keep dancing around and hope that nothing ever happens. Nobody in this room, I am willing to bet, has ever had to step past, and I hate to say it because I've got some of my students in this room right now, have had to step past children's bodies. I have. My only saving grace there was it was natural disaster, not violence. But we do have somebody here who has been in a prior event involving a school shooting. And yet, we're not doing anything about it. Nothing. Everybody says, well, we've got a deputy that can turn around and be SRO. Well, that's all fine and dandy. It hasn't happened yet. And what everybody fails to understand is he is a law enforcement officer, and when he gets a call out, he is leaving this campus. He does not have a choice. He is still a dedicated peace officer. He will not be here. I can put my paperwork on this desk that says that I'm qualified, above and beyond. But this board keeps listening to a mealy-mouthed, slimy, squirmy attorney that tells you there's more liability in me having a weapon on this campus than not having a weapon on this campus. This is what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about. And to date, I hate to say it, but it sure doesn't seem like anybody else is. And it's irritating. There's nothing I wouldn't do to turn around and protect one of these students. And trust me, when you turn around and you give me authority to roam this campus during a lockdown situation, I'm going out there with probably a pocket knife. And I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Straight up. I'm not gonna squirm about it. I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to end it as quick as possible. Because chances are the damage has already been done at least once. At least once. I can only hope to minimize it. So I want the board tonight to make a decision to move forward, be proactive. Don't tell me, well, we'll discuss the next board meeting. Well, I've been told that now for over 2 years. We still haven't got there. Any of you that have kids here, telling you now, you need to be thinking about how this transpires moving forward and make this happen.
We trust Jordan.
Make it happen.
I'm not sure, I think this is Rob.
Yep.
Is it, okay, it's Rob Wagner.
Shorty, I wouldn't be too sure you would have gotten a call back from Cindy Sims. Cindy, a few weeks ago, a couple months ago now, a group of us came in upset about the way you went about your application for Title I funding. Following meeting, you stood up and you gave a report about how you have involvement with parents And then you had the gall to turn and said, I even recently met with Mr. Wagner in my office. Cindy, when we met in your office, you did. You had an open door policy. I came in to tell you that my 5th grade daughter was being sexually harassed on your playground by a 4th grade boy. That has zero to do with Title I funding. And you had the gall to use that as some kind of feather in your political bonnet. To discredit me and the people that came to you all with a complaint and a concern. You used my 5th grade daughter in your political game. Cindy, after that meeting, you promised to phone call me. You didn't. And then we met, my wife and I, with you on June 21st to update you, to let you know that our daughter, she confided in us further that it wasn't just sexual harassment, that it was sexual assault, that she was groped multiple times by that boy. That happened because the people who were watching your playground were not trained, much like our friend here says that your people aren't trained for an active shooter. They're not trained for sexual assault. She said on day 3 to the person on her recess that she was being harassed. And nothing was done. I wasn't notified. Nobody was notified. I didn't find out until day 10 that he was harassing my daughter over and over again, saying things so vile that I won't repeat them here because of those little kids over there. You responded by having an untrained principal investigate that situation. An untrained principal who has never dealt with sexual harassment before did it on her own. She called my daughter a guinea pig 5 times when I met with her. 5 times. She called my daughter a guinea pig. She thanked us for the opportunity to learn on our daughter. Because of the lack of training. And because of the lack of response, my daughter is now twerking at 4-H meetings. She's never done that before. An entire world was opened up to her because of a lack of response. And that falls on your head, not on Mrs. Gonzalez, not on anybody else. That falls on your head. At our meeting on June 21st, you promised a swift response. I got an email from you today. An email, not a phone call. And in that email, you let us know that the sheriff's department was notified. I know! The sheriff's department called me 2 weeks ago. But you didn't. That is dereliction of duty, Cindy. What do you have to say for yourself? I'll wait.
So this public forum is not to come in here and demand responses out of the superintendent that should probably be taken up in her office.
I tried. I have clearly done that. This is the only option. We have to come here and bring it up. Of course I'm going to bring it up now. These people deserve to know that their kids are in danger. He said it, and now I'm saying it. These kids in this community are in danger because nobody's responding. On day 3, she said she was being harassed. On day 10, she was assaulted. Tell me, where do I go then? Please. Who has training to respond to that?
Well, I'm not sure who has had any specific training other than maybe Mr. Casals. But when you put a new administrator in place, you can't get them trained on every aspect of the job in 1 year, I promise you can't, because they got too many other duties.
Okay.
I'm very sorry this did happen, but
So, why was an outside investigator not brought in? Cindy, please, I would love to hear.
This isn't the first time this kid did it either. The staff knew about this kid, so it's not like this was the first time that it should have been investigated. Are you gonna respond?
No, I'm not gonna respond in a public setting.
But you're not responding in a private setting either.
I will not respond in a public setting, but I have responded privately.
Not the way you should have.
I'm not yielding my time.
shoot, sir, you are yielding.
I'm not
This
yielding my
meeting,
time.
You
I
running
guess
this
what?
meeting,
You
I
wanna-
run this meeting.
You want to call the sheriff, call the sheriff. But I'm not leaving. This is my First Amendment right. I am not leaving. I will continue talking about what happened. Because I want an answer. So you're telling me that you don't know who is supposed to respond to a sexual assault or a sexual harassment complaint. Is that what you're saying? You don't know. I'm asking.
No, you said who was trained. I said, I don't know who is trained other than Mr. Casals.
Okay.
And that's in our
Cindy
school
respond?
system.
Cindy,
So does anybody else know? Has anybody had training as to what to do in a sexual harassment or a sexual assault situation? Anybody in this room?
Mr. Wagner, I'm just gonna remind you that during public comment, it's for you to give comments, it's not for a conversation. If you'd like to have a further conversation, we can schedule that. But as Mr. Riley has said, we have an agenda we're going to go through. We do have a Title IX process and we do have an investigation process.
You do.
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, that was never brought up to me when I brought that to
We're
you.
gonna proceed with our meeting now,
No,
sir.
wait. That's a great statement. What about that? You have a Title IX process, right?
Yes, and we have policies about that.
None of that happened.
None of that was brought up to us.
Well, have you filed a Title IX complaint?
Yes, who is supposed to bring that up?
The parents can file a Title IX complaint, I
And-
believe you.
We were never told about a Title
This is the
IX.
first time you have brought that up to us. That is the first time you've brought that up to me. So who do I go to talk to about this Title IX?
Well, I think we've already talked to Mr. Burnett about
Okay.
it.
Mr. Burnett? Great.
We've already talked to him.
Yeah.
So he told you where the form is at, and if I can file one, we can.
But you said nothing about that when we met.
No, I did not.
No, you did not. See, the board, she's not trained on Title IX. I suggest each one of you go and read Title IX. I suggest each one of you, because she's put your district in peril.
I think you all have children or grandchildren right about that age.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Breonna Hunt?
You know,
I just want to talk about like what you're doing to us. I was hearing what the Wagner was saying, and I was like, I didn't know about this. I didn't know that she got assaulted. She told me on the bus that she was like, what the boy was doing. But I thought you guys were handling it, not just sitting there and calling her, Miss Gonzalez calling her a guinea pig 5 times. They're right, you guys all like, us in danger. I don't want to be harassed or anything. That's why I want to be homeschooled. I want to make new friends that's not here where I could get harassed and stuff. There are kids who were teasing me will be mean. You guys just don't handle this right. I'm done.
Alright, thank you.
Good job.
Abner, huh?
I've been listening to your speeches, and all the speeches, everybody, like, I don't like how we're gonna be taught that we're about to be black, that we're about to be white, and all of us kids are like, we don't want to be harassed. None of us do. None of us. Why are you harassing us? Why do you guys harass us? The point of learning is to learn, not to harass.
Thank you. Move on into superintendent's report, staffing report.
Starting with staffing report, let me find it, sorry. In the staffing report, you can see we've been working on filling some positions that we have open in the district. In red, you'll see the things that are new, that are changes. So we've had quite a bit of transfers going on. I'd like to point out, Mr. Chavez has moved from special ed secretary position to the high school secretary position. Ms. Pedley's moved from second grade into the new elementary math intervention position. Ms. Morales has moved from fourth grade to fifth grade. Bianca Sodi, you'll remember, has been in the district as an educational assistant, worked for pre-K for a while. She's completed her licensure program. She's moved into second grade. Brenda Blazer's been in a clerical position. You'll recall that she has a bachelor's degree. Brenda Blazer is going to become an elementary primary special education teacher and go through the LEAP program. We're very excited about her opportunity to work with children. Miranda Garcia, who's been a full-time special ed teacher at the high school. We received a resignation from a math teacher, Andrea Romans. Miranda Garcia is going to be split, half-time special ed, half-time general ed. That leaves us with a half-time special ed position that's currently open. If you look at the new hires, we have a new secretary, Cabriti Miera. I don't know if that's spelled correctly, but she'll be, she was initially interviewing to be a replacement for the special ed secretary, and I believe that we've agreed to let her take Brenda's place and become the secretary at Moriarty Middle School in Brenda's place, leaving the secretary clerical position open for special education. Heather Silva has interviewed and becoming a kindergarten teacher. Erica Pacheco is going to be a new kindergarten teacher as well. We have 2 kindergarten openings. That says Shannon Blazer. I have the wrong daughter. It's supposed to be Samantha Blazer, who will be as well a special education teacher. She'll be taking 4th and 5th grade at the upper elementary school. Jeremy Lujan's a new custodian, and Frank Anaya, who you will recall retired, has come back part-time for us. We currently still have a part-time high school special ed position open, a 5th grade teaching position open, special ed secretary. I think we might have filled a custodian, but I'm not sure if we have one more left. And we still have a bus driver position. No? Bus driver's not filled, okay. Any questions about the transfers or the new employees that we brought in?
No,
Okay, back to my report. I already mentioned Ms. Roman's resignation in my July report. I provided for you the upcoming calendar of events for the beginning of the year for staff training and what we have on the schedule. During our work session tonight, we talked quite a bit about the volunteer program review policy. We weren't able to get all to the volunteer program. I provided you a copy of a statute over the weekend that is volunteer statute. And I'd like to kind of bring that up just to, so other people in the audience can see. Volunteers is something that is near and dear to my heart, and the volunteer program as a whole, if you look at the statute that we have from the Public Education Department, this statute outlines quite a bit in regard to what we need to do with our volunteers and what the requirements are to work in a public school. The part that I had wanted you to pay particular attention to has to do with that background check. And to Heather's point, you shouldn't have to pay to come and volunteer to work somewhere. And what I found out in a couple of the other districts is that in the statute itself, it talks about the things you have to do as a background check. But what it doesn't say is you have to be fingerprinted. So I wanted to hear a little bit about what the board thought about that. You have to check for a history of drug abuse, you have to check for history of DUIs, you have to check for sex offender crimes against children. We do that currently through a background check. A lot of districts, many districts do it through a background check. Not all districts require fingerprinting.